You're
So you
like
got-
so much better than
where you
mine.
went?
I went to Italy for
Where
3
was
weeks.
it?
Nice.
Milan, all
Florence.
over, Cinque Terre, Naples, and then a bay of Naples. It was wonderful. We ate.
Oh, there's a weird-
It was wonderful. It was wonderful. I love Italians.
Yeah,
They're the nicest people till you get them behind the
Afternoon, sir. How
car.
you doing?
It was the fountain. On 15 seconds. You're not.
Good.
Ham in here today.
Well, we're missing.
All right, I call the meeting to order.
Oh, yeah.
Rather than a roll call, we got some new people here, so it's probably introduction time. So Jason Gerwin, Chair.
I'm Stacy Redding. I'm one of the Parks Development Managers for the Parks Department.
I'm David de la Cruz, the other Parks Capital Project Manager.
Doug Russell, City Manager.
I'm Zoe Clifford.
Ingrid Valdivian.
Damien Cruz Guzman. Alan Billingsley.
I'm Janice Spingath. I'm on the board. Kate Reed.
Vito Jacobazzi, Vice Chair. Charlie Deal.
Nikki York, Office Assistant for the Parks Department.
Scott Williams with the Parks Department.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Welcome. City Manager, was there something you wanted to say or just kind of attending for?
You know, I can, I didn't know where. I just wanted to reach out and let you know, well, we'll be reaching out again to the board for participation in the selection of Parks Director. Don't know the timeline on it yet, probably mid-November sometime. We'll look to have, you know, a participated process. So just wanted to let you know, give you a quick, very brief update that we'll be reaching out to the board to try and get some participation in that process.
Super exciting time.
Awesome. With that, we're on to approval of the minutes. If everyone's had a chance to read them, I would entertain a motion.
I'll move, we approve the minutes. Second.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And it's approval, it's very continuous. Nice work. Public comments, we don't have any. No. No unfinished business, and so we move on to a legacy plan update. I believe, David, you can say anything.
I have one thing I'd like to add to new business if I could.
Okay.
It's really short,
Okay.
so we can maybe do it before.
So you're making a motion to amend the agenda.
Yes.
Alright.
I would just like to. So today, this afternoon, the boat launch at American Lake Park, the fire department got stuck there trying to get their boat out. And so we had the opportunity to talk to the fire department, and the lake level, as you know, has been low. And it has been low because the county has been taking out boards at the weir, and they've been taking them out at Labor Day, which is a 3-day weekend, and then putting them back in on Memorial Day, which is a 3-day weekend. But all of our water comes into the lake between March and April. So when they put the boards back up, the lake is starting 2 feet lower than it should have been. So it's causing a lot of problems. The county has now officially said, we don't manage this, which is great. The American Lake Improvement Club would like to monitor, not manage, monitor the lake level and just keep the Corps of Engineers designed this thing to work. It doesn't need to be managed in any way. It's for 60 years. It has been just fine. It doesn't flood. Just leave the boards in and it works. If it gets too high, it spills over and goes into Lake Sequalichu. The rumor is that we want to manage it. We don't want to manage it. We want to monitor it. So
Store the boards in now.
yes, that's what I thought. They did not take them out. They're in, just leave them there.
So information,
The information is, we don't want to manage. We just want to monitor. Whatever you hear from other people, because there might be some misunderstanding. Just leave the boards in. The
Is there
thing
an
that's
imminent
designed-
decision coming about that from them?
What, the
From
county?
who?
The Army Corps of Engineers.
No,
Pierce
Yeah.
County.
no, Pierce County has,
Pierce County is divulged. I
they
mean,
have,
divorce themselves
Yes.
from the whole
We
process.
don't need to have a management.
No.
We don't need to have the LMD managing it. We don't need to have,
There's no.
The LM
lake
does not
management
manage it.
district, right?
Hmm?
There's a lake management district?
yes, but
Yes.
they're not qualified. Go ahead.
I'm the chair of the Lake Management Committee, and all we're doing is treating the Eurasian milfoil.
And that's
An
all.
invasive, any other invasive species that will be identified, but we do not have anything to do with lake levels.
That's right.
It causes us problems, and we've got a big problem now. But Kurt and Janet are very active on both. So, and Kurt is on the LMD. So, but we're not managing it or doing anything. We just know that American Lake Park boat ramp had a huge problem, and now that's causing a huge problem for people getting in and out, hours and hours and hours to get a boat out. So anyway, that's
So that's what I
It
wanted.
would be more research on my behalf, but then if Pierce County has divorced itself from it, it's the state then? It
No.
defaults to a state
No.
responsibility?
The Lake Steilacoom is actually managed by their Lake Improvement Club.
Yes,
Right.
but they were grandfathered in. We've been voted. We can't do that. We can't, right? We don't
far as I
legally
know.
have the, unless we have another vote of the taxpayers around the lake. Right?
true.
And that has to sunset. This one has to sunset first.
Well, now that the vote around the lake is actually the LMD, but the LMD is not interested. We get state grants. We do other things to take care of the Eurasian milfoil. And we're not interested in managing the water level. That is not our expertise.
Silicon Lake manages their water level because they are a flow through. They have anadromous fish that come up. We don't have that in American Lake. We don't need to do anything with our lake level. We just asked the county to stop taking the boards out. They researched it. They found that they didn't have any authority to take the boards out.
Mm.
It was a lot of work for them to take the boards out, put them back in. So they happily stopped and wrote us all a letter and said, we're not going to do it.
I actually spent quite some time trying to research the lake elevation data during the capital improvement project that was just executed
Yeah.
and struggled to find a point of contact
Right.
and understand that process as
Yeah.
well. So I think Public Works Engineering does have some documentation about
The lake level is 233. It was set 60 years ago by the Corps of Engineers. They determined that was where it was. And I think that's where we base all our permits on
Mhm.
too, is the 233. Keeping it at
the
that
permits
level.
are based on ordinary high water mark, which is actually by a biologist through an engineering
Right.
consulting firm. So and that's project specific.
Yeah.
That data is
Yeah.
collected. So I think outside of the Parks Department, though, Scott, correct me if I'm wrong, would be some research would need to be had with how to navigate that conversation with the county.
Yeah, there's work already being done on that conversation, with the
Public Works.
public works.
Weston Ott is our
Yeah.
contact.
You guys liaison.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, and I've talked to him about it.
Within their department, they're working on
Yep.
that. So I don't really want to speak to what they're doing, because I'm not fully involved with that, so I don't think it would be appropriate for me to say something at this point, not knowing what where they're at in their work on it.
I just wanted to address that it is not the intention of the LMD or American Lake Improvement Club to manage it, only monitor it. And we do that. We have been doing it monthly, but now we're like quarterly. We go out and we measure. We
And you've been
record
doing it since
23 years we've been doing that. And we've been collecting the data. It's with the Pierce County Conservation District and also with the Silcox Island homeowners. So we have all that. We report it. We record it. We have, they're doing that. We're along with, yeah, we do dissolved oxygen content, pH, and looking for turbidity. It's just, we've been doing that.
Water quality.
Water quality, yeah. So there you go.
Thanks for bringing it to our
Thank you.
attention. And yeah, it sounds like more research has got to be done and what are the covenants and who ultimately whose responsibility is that to manage the water level.
Yeah.
Any other discussion on that one? Hearing none, now I think we'll move on to the legacy plan
Thank you.
update.
All right. Glad I didn't have to jump right in. Thanks for breathing room there. Help put me at ease. Okay, just gonna share my screen from here and hope that we're good. I'm gonna do one at a time. Okay. That's showing up. Okay. There we go. That works. There will be a little bit of a delay. Good evening, everyone. Again, my name is David de la Cruz, Parks Capital Project Manager. Been working with our team here on just moving through these next steps. It's a critical time for the legacy plan. Got a lot to provide updates for. I've done a presentation similar to this, but have slightly changed this, just kind of providing some key updates on where we are with the legacy plan and kind of where we're going from here, and hope to answer some key questions and also just open up the floor for conversation. The key questions I want to answer today is, what are we doing right now with the legacy plan? Where have we been with this effort, specifically around engagement and survey engagement? We just released a survey officially and wanted to share kind of some feedback that we're hearing so far and kind of where we want to keep hearing from folks, where we're seeing some gaps in engagement. Talk about who we're hearing from, what kinds of things we're hearing, the timeline, and then really outline what's next and really open it to conversation on what you all think is important to think of for the next step. So a recap, we're updating this Parks, Recreation, and Open Space Plan, also known colloquially as the Legacy Plan. This is a 20-year park and recreation strategic plan. And the goal is to create a really 6-year capital improvement project list with 6-year outlook. We're addressing future park and recreation needs. We're creating a vision, we're creating goals, outcomes, and an action plan to really outline what improvements we want to see to our parks and our recreation programming. In addition, I mean, we have a pretty strong legacy plan from 2020, and we're ultimately not looking to make significant changes to that structure and kind of do general updating, general upkeep to that plan as much as possible. Make sure that the performance measures that are there are just what we're expecting. And then lastly, with what we're putting together, this is going to shape the next round of grant applications that we'll be submitting to RCO and the various other grant opportunities that are going to be presented to us next year.
What is RCO?
RCO is Recreations and Conservation Office. So it's a state agency that provides grant funds to local cities on even number of years. So where have we been? So far, all through the summer, we've been very busy at various community pop-up events, and I'd like to have more. We've been at the Street Festival. That was our launch to the Legacy Plan efforts. The QR code there shares a link to the website so that folks can kind of interact with what's happening with the Legacy Plan. So other pop-up events that we've been to include the Farmers Market, various times, Summerfest, key meetings with the older adult programming happening here and throughout the city. There was an open house at the library, and I'd like to have another one. Done presentations to local neighborhood associations and the youth council, and just have tried to be as visible as possible with this effort, and hope I ran into many of you all, and there's many more opportunities to keep reaching folks with this next round of survey engagement that we're doing. So since the last time I created this, we've actually gotten about 218 total respondents so far. So we've increased a lot. There's a lot of events that have been happening in the past few days that have just been a really big help to get more people. The goal is to reach 300. My personal goal is to get at least 36 people from each site, from each park, but it's going to be a push. some of the different events that we've been to include the ribbon cutting at American Lake, an email blast to recent registrants to ActiveNet that have reserved a shelter or something like that, been put to like a 800 participant list, presentations to local neighborhood associations, the community cleanup that just happened this week. And yeah, if there's others that you all think I should be at, let me know. This just want to keep putting this in front of people as much as possible. I have flyers printed out that we worked on together that just I feel really good about. We're gonna print them out as larger posters to put up at businesses. But please take a few, share that with your community, with your folks. There's also a digital version that was sent to you all over email on. I think
Have you been out
yesterday.
to the dog park?
Dog park at
Busy
Fort
day.
Stewart?
Yeah.
I have not actually.
Have we-
Yeah, so Michelle, the staff person, mentioned put up an A-frame sign at Fort Steilacoom or flyers at Fort Steilacoom would be a really good place to reach people. I will say, so far we have about 90 people that have filled out the survey at Fort Steilacoom, so I want to hear from other folks elsewhere, but definitely gonna take that up and put up a flyer or A-frame at Fort Steilacoom at the dog park. Yeah, any others, please?
What neighborhood meetings have you been to?
So I've been to Lake City, I've been to Downtown Neighborhood Association, been to the Tillicum Neighborhood Association. Been to a community collaboration that's held here at City Hall.
You were at the library.
I was at the library
That's them
Downtown.
and that's the downtown as well.
How about Fort Steilacoom neighborhood?
I'm planned for November 18th to drop by Fort Steilacoom. I still want to do a Springbrook Neighborhood Association group. There isn't an active, or I haven't been able to get a hold of somebody active there, but
Springbrook Connections,
Yeah.
yeah.
Tillicum as well.
Tillicum, he said Tillicum.
Tillicum, yeah, active conversations with folks at Tillicum. We want to do something for Harry Talk.
What about that neighborhood?
Clover Park.
No, the one
Clover
that's,
Creek.
no, the one over by the lake, by the police station. What is that lake that's there?
Lake City.
Sealy?
Sealy, yeah, the Sealy neighborhood. There's a park
Sealy
in
Park.
there.
So I did a presentation to the Safety Commission, but not to like a separate.
There's like 4,000 people that live over there.
Yeah, that's any chance you know anybody specific?
Probably find somebody.
Yeah, if you can find somebody, I'd appreciate it.
Okay,
When you get your posters done, get me one. I'll put it out to South Sound Wildlife Area.
Thank you.
We're getting about 100 visitors there a day.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I want to hear from some folks from that area.
We talked about, the northeast part of our community does not have an active neighborhood association, but.
Yes.
Working with, the Asian Pacific Cultural Center or the Korean Women's Association, do any of you have a contact with any of those agencies? Directly? So I'm willing to reach out blindly and,
so who, the Asian,
You know, talking about that today, there's a Oak Park Technical College on November 1st.
there's an activity with,
There's a
yes,
Korean
the,
Women's Association is hosting an event there.
Yeah.
And so we're talking about trying to, if
to
you can
contact.
pull it together, it's pretty quick, but if you pull it together, it'll be able to do something there on the first.
Yeah, the critical part, I think, is the language translation of the survey from English to Spanish, Korean, and the hope was Tagalog, the top three languages spoken in our community, so that those folks could engage in
do you,
corresponding.
would you have the app, the ability to get a Wordly app? Do you know what Wordly is? So Wordly is an app that you buy, but churches use this to translate sermons. And so a church will buy it,
Mhm.
and then people from different languages, it translates as they hear it. So they just put in headphones or listen to their phone and it comes in. So you buy, for translation, you could buy, maybe the city could buy a subscription for that app and then offer it when you go to these places where you have language difficulty. It'd be super helpful.
Yeah, there is an upgrade with Survey Monkey, but we're kind of in a little bit of an interim with our communications staff, so we're kind of
Yeah.
gonna figure it out as we go here, but that sounds like a
Yeah,
really
look up
exciting,
Wordly. Yeah.
easy.
Easy.
Easy is good.
Yes,
So if, and also if some of those communities already utilize that,
they probably could,
um,
because that's how I hear about it, is like, oh, do you have Wordly?
okay, great.
It's not free. I mean, somebody has to own it and then sponsor it
Mhm.
somehow, like, I don't know how a church plugs in. They tell people, go to this app,
Mhm.
download it on so they're able to use it there on their site. So I don't know. You'd
Maybe
have to
the
look into
download
it.
is free, but the initial account or
Maybe,
something.
I
is
don't
a subscription. I'm not sure what the
Check it out.
difference is on here. Thank you.
And yeah, one thing that reminds me is in addition to this setting up A-frames and flyers at various parks that we're not hearing from folks, is also adding a pop-up for the local businesses at the international district. Just finding a way to get this in front of folks. But yeah, the key part, like Stacy mentioned, is just getting that translation first so that the survey could be accessible as possible for folks in that community. But yeah, thanks for the feedback. Always open to hearing more. And we will jump right in. Generally, from the last time I updated this, where we had about 76 folks reach out from Fort Silicon Park, providing their feedback. None yet from Wards Lake Park, 3 from Active Park, 0 from Sealy Lake Park, 0 from Springbrook, 15 from Harry Todd, which is great, 21 from American Lake, 0 from Washington Ave, 2 from Oak Brook, and about 1 from the South Puget Sound wildlife area. So that just kind of shows us where some of the priority is to keep hearing from people. And obviously we don't want to shut the doors or anything for folks, or we're hearing from them.
So could you direct email? Well, maybe I could do this. I know several people who met regularly at Washington.
Yeah.
So I could just send it to them. But
Yeah,
if you send it to them,
I-
that might be more,
I-
an answer you.
I would be happy to send it
Okay.
directly to any
A good
contacts that you may
suggestion
have.
too, Jen, is forward the email that we got
Yeah.
from Nikki, or just attach that, the one pager to it,
Right.
and then they get it twice, maybe more likely.
And
I think the demographic information though via the survey is based on your zip code, so it might
Okay.
not be, I think there's 5 total zip codes in our community. It's not as hyper specific as I think capturing the data, at the site, right? Is that how you capture? The
yeah, so this assumes that folks are responding, that they're saying that the park that they go to most often is this one. So I mean, most people may avoid going to Washington Ave and prefer to go to Fort Silicon, for example, but maybe live around the corner from Washington Ave. And so
It's a good place for babies, little kids, because
Yeah.
of the
the top.
it's fenced in. Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll definitely do an A-frame at all of these parks where maybe folks aren't visiting as frequently. But this is not to say all the feedback that we are hearing applies across the board to all of our park systems. So we know where improvements are needed overall and not specifically by park, although that's an option to provide specific suggestions for.
I'll stand corrected if you already covered this, but I'm looking at this map. This is the responses you've got at each one of these places, right?
So far,
Have you, and maybe you did mention this, so you have a signage like that could be put on each one of these sites to say, hey, as you, for example, me, I'm running the South Sound Wildlife Park. If I see that sign, it says, hey, something to the effect that if you're really interested in what's going on, here's what you do, contact me. Have you done that?
not yet. That'll be the next step. So far, all of the feedback that we're hearing has been organic through email, through word of mouth.
Yeah.
And I think just earlier this week, we did the social media launch in as communications was transitioning out. So that'll happen weekly, that social media launch, which is just helping drive people to there. But I think the physical signs is going to be another big push.
And that's when you mentioned A-frames. A-frame is a type of sign you put out in the park that it allows for.
That's
exposure.
okay.
Absolutely.
Like if you see them around the community at the
Right.
intersections.
Yeah.
Right.
With the different events, that's kind of what an A-frame is.
Right. Okay.
Wasn't it also in Lakewood Connections this last? Or was it not? And is there opportunity to put it in again here in the winters?
Yes, I didn't meet a deadline to put something like this out in the magazine that we have. It's possible we have a blurb. I left some information with communication, but I'm not too confident whether or not.
Because that's going to quite a few people in Lakewood.
Yeah, yeah. The thing I do know that is that there's a previous Neighborhood Connection sent people to the website.
Oh.
And the Legacy Plan website, which that it's super easy to find the survey
Yeah.
when you're on there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think this November one that's going to be released will have the survey. We didn't have the graphics ready to.
Oh.
even put-
We can keep an eye open when it comes back for rough draft review. If there's space to look at it, I'll touch base with you.
Small little blurb would be a big help. Excellent. Appreciate the feedback so far.
I also wanted to suggest, I know everyone said putting up more posters at all the different parks, but like in Oakbrook Park, I know there's only 2 responses, but a lot of people use that park, so there's no way that, like, I see people there every day when I walk my dog, so there's no way that only 2 people are going there. And I also know, like, everyone who lives in Oakbrook, like, it's split between Stillicum and Clover Park school districts, so a lot of the Clover Park kids are over in Lakewood all the time. So that could be, I mean, if there's a sign out there, and I mean, I'm on my phone, so I know these kids are on their phone too, so I mean, if I see a QR code, I'm gonna sign it, so definitely or even the neighborhood association, they are really good about keeping stuff together and working together really well.
Yeah.
So if that's of any interest at
Good
all.
idea.
Definitely. Thank you. Yeah, physical is gonna help a lot. And then, I think the other thing that has been in like an early idea is there's a peach jar that goes out to a lot of parents from the school district that will figure out how to get that one pager in front of them through that peach jar, just so that more and more parents can see that.
Things always jammed with information. Yeah, it's
Scrolling.
information overload, but you gotta throw, you gotta throw your acorn out there anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah,
every school
give it a shot.
district utilizes that.
They're pretty good about 2 or 3 flyers at a time only, but
Yeah.
you just get them every day. But it's good. You'll get it out to a lot of people.
Yeah. Try. We'll
But
try.
good job reaching all these people. It's hard to get survey information.
Yes.
Our last legacy plan, I think, had a total of 238 survey respondents, so we're already on track
That's good.
to go beyond that.
Yeah.
Yeah, this will officially close the end of November. But since we are translating it, I may think about extending it slightly just because it wasn't
Yeah.
immediately available. But yeah, we'll see how things go.
Well, it's also the bad time of year.
Very true.
It's too many holidays, and so
Yeah.
people ignore doing that kind of stuff because they're focused on family and yada, yada, yada.
Makes sense.
Trying to push before Thanksgiving, before everybody gets.
Yeah.
off for holiday.
I'm sorry, we're already into Thanksgiving and Christmas at Lakewell. I'm sorry.
You started Halloween, what, in August?
Yeah, so.
Good tips. So I'm not gonna jump into the data yet. We'll do I'll give an updated real-time look at the webpage with the data. But generally, to answer this, what's the timeline question? I think this is a really critical one. And it's kind of aggressive. It's a big push. Although it lists adoption of the legacy plan by May 2026. I think realistically, we might be closer to a draft around that time. But I think just generally, I'll start from the top. We want to close the survey at the end of November and begin compiling all those survey results through the end of the year so that we know kind of what we're hearing from community members, and then also couple that with what we're hearing during this pack-up process, and you'll hear about that a little bit more. And then from there, we'll start to put together these draft sections so that a more closed group starts to review those draft sections. I have several folks that have expressed interest in this legacy plan task force, folks from Pierce County Public Health, the Dean Burke from the group Travel Tacoma that has supported the legacy plan in the past, and several other folks have just been interested in compiling and jumping onto this task force. It's just a matter of scheduling it and hoping to do it before November holidays start. So that'll be our first one, and just kind of talk through a game plan of how to get us there to at least a draft legacy plan in the spring, and then think about that adoption by either May or sometime in the summer. I think the key priority is to iron out what those key projects would be for this upcoming 2026 year so that we can demonstrate that to the agencies that look at our grants submissions, showing those key projects that are a priority from the packet scoring and from the community will just help us become very competitive in creating that story for the projects that we want to apply for. So with that, the next steps, and before the end of this year, we want to do this thing called the packet scoring. So the park amenity condition assessment, coupled with the survey engagement, will help us kind of create that priority, that preliminary priority project list. And this packet scoring is ultimately led by maintenance staff. It's a kind of an overview of. Yes, we have a question. Let me, can you try to open that up? Thank you, Nikki. Yes. So the question we're getting is, are new parks part of the legacy plan or is it just existing parks? I want to make sure we're getting some feedback for the downtown park as it relates to the parcel we obtained and we want to plan to develop. Yes, that's a great question. So the survey so far doesn't specifically name future parks. I think there's an option to make suggestions for something like a downtown park, but it only lists existing parks and the changes that we want to make. But I think with the, do you want to talk a little bit about the RFQ?
Yeah, we are preparing to post an RFQ to kick off the master planning effort, which would spur community engagement, probably the beginning of 2026. Sorry, my brain had to remember what year we're in here. But the previous legacy plan did outline some goals and objectives of 2 opportunities for the downtown park. It just didn't identify specifically the program amenities at that site. So I think we spoke about a few meetings ago, I can't recall though. Walkability, we've got the 1/4 mile, which is part of our survey, and it's really kind of a 1/4 mile, not as the bird flies, but a 1/4 mile. I think we've categorized it as a 20-minute walk. Is that accessible from, the person filling out the survey? So I think there is opportunity with that data and or GIS data that outlines walkability within the community to gaps within our current system. But we would have to together kind of brainstorm maybe a matrix that would support decision making or within gaps or purchases for future expansion of parks. The previous legacy plan also did outline opportunities for certain park expansion. So for instance, Springbrook Park was expanded through multiple residential acquisition, and Wards Lake Park as well through multiple property acquisitions. So apart from new non-existent parks, there is still future opportunity for park expansion, I would expect.
I kind of think what Councilmember Pearson's kind of relating to is, I think we need to make sure we identify it in the legacy plan, because then it would be eligible for grant funding. If we don't identify it in the legacy plan, then we can't apply for funding.
That's a great point. Thank you.
Yeah, I guess we have the property now and it's, zoned for recreation. I think that we made that change. So, I just want to make sure it's identified and, on the list of, I understand that we haven't gone through the master planning process yet, but just wanted to make sure that it was getting some attention, because that is really our council priority at this point right now. One of our top council priorities anyway.
Yeah, I think the timing of the RFQ public engagement process can be expedited to capture the programmatic elements of that park through the public process. And
Okay.
thank you for that reminder.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll be coming to council so great to discuss the RFQ.
We did also talk about the street ends as well, since that was a council adopted prioritization and development. We haven't had funding approved beyond Westlake, but we do have the previous report and preliminary prioritization matrix that was developed to include those sites with, you know, in more detail than the previous legacy plan, since we've gone through that updated report.
Is there anything else we're missing? Like that, I forgot about street end.
I think water access in general is a great topic for discussion because we did try to include water access and maybe some additional recreation considerations that weren't a part of the previous legacy plan, such as the can carry launches or kayaking, non-motorized, you know, wildlife viewing, things like that, non-motorized sports. So if there are opportunities, you know, in that property acquisition matrix as well, that accounts for capturing that council priority or have, you know, expanding the community's opportunity for water access.
So speaking of water access, is there any thought that we could give to change, doing some kind of use with Wahat Lake? I know that's not trying to restore it, but make it, people are using it, they're trying to fish in it. Is there any other opportunity that we could, besides just looking at it?
I don't know if RCO and parks would be the right avenue from that. In my experience, a lot of times when you start talking about that, you're in the surface water management kind of realm. And because they get a lot of opportunities for funding and water
Right.
quality and water
Right.
improvements. So I think it probably just, I think we need to vet it.
Yeah, exactly.
But something that might be good for this legacy plan as it kind of relates to the conversation is maybe we have a heading in the table or in the narrative that's just future opportunities,
Yeah.
right? And
That's a good idea.
it's just listing future opportunities. You don't have to have shovel-ready projects. You don't need to have design work done. But just that it's been identified and talked about makes it eligible for funding. Then the city has to determine its priorities and which one it wants to go for with
Right.
projects.
Yeah, maybe we could include Sealy Lake in that as well. That's the water.
Problem is that's
part of it.
managed by a different agency. That's the tough part there.
Who's it up?
One of the things
Yeah, Quagmires.
with our previous legacy plans is the walkability portion that Stacy was talking about. Was we identified those walkable routes and getting people to locations within the city, and then we were to identify underserved areas within the city. And we focused some of the work that we did in the legacy plan on those underserved areas. So looking at the opportunities for either, you know, acquisition or development in those areas in this new legacy plan
Yeah,
could help us meet some of the council goals for development and acquisition. So we'll talk about that more to see if we can make sure we incorporate all of that.
Remind me if I'm right or wrong, but I thought reading in the legacy plan that parks in the city were going to be within 10 or 15 minutes walking, a 10-minute walk. And I look at the plan and there's a lot of gaps, so we should be identifying the neighborhood areas that would be potentials. Because, I mean, if you even think about the old Tensor Library, there's a huge community back there. There's no playground. There's no parks back there, as I remember. No, Brimley Park.
Park with a playground.
Just a second. I'm talking about the Clover Park on the Tensler. That's
Where the old
Brimley.
library was?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that's Primley. I thought Primley was closer. I'm sorry,
I do
I'm
too.
mistaken then.
But that's kind of what you're saying is kind of what Scott was referring to, that they kind of identified that, but we just have to figure out a way to title them because you're talking,
Okay.
it's from like 100th and,
Right,
you know, you're talking forest intersection. So how do we label or identify those in the plan to these underserved areas? Because we've identified them as a city. It's just getting them rolled in a presentable way in our legacy plan.
Yeah. Do we have to name all our, or just call it futures?
No, it's
We can talk
future
about
and
it, yeah.
and naming,
Could be
but
anything.
to give like 4 geographic street
Right.
corners as your description in a
Right.
table just would be cumbersome.
Yeah.
And so to me, it's a little bit of a naming exercise on how we would identify those opportunity areas that we don't have within a mile or 10-minute walk.
So one thing that the survey does do well is just gather as much feedback as possible, although it's park specific. Folks make suggestions for things that don't exist at parks, which allow us to start to categorize them into those future projects that maybe doesn't yet have a home at a current park. And the map and data analysis, I think, will provide that that good understanding of where gaps exist in the walkability of a neighborhood, like Stacy was describing, and like what you were just describing, Kate, providing a broad data set that shows where those gaps are so that we can prioritize future acquisition. That downtown park becomes a key part of meeting that neighborhood gap or access to a park gap that's shown from the previous legacy plan. And so just being able to be broad enough so that prioritizations can be placed on areas where equity is needed and park access is needed. And I think that map and data analysis piece would really help fill that gap.
In San Francisco, we had something called mini parks, which were just little, I mean, it was like just a pocket park. And I mean, we don't have to have big parks like where it's Stillicum all over, but certainly pocket parks where parents can take their kids out. Much better than some of these apartment houses that have terrible looking play structures for poor kids.
I think kind of the street end projects helps us in this too, and it's been an identified priority, and so we can work to get more funding on the street, and so we are gonna be filling in some of those gaps as well.
So yeah, so from here, in addition to the mapping and the data analysis, which will help us understand where those gaps exist, we'll look to have a task force meeting. Vito, I believe you expressed interest in being a liaison for the park board, so I'll keep that in mind when I send out an invite in the scheduling piece. And then the last piece is asking for support from a consultant to really help us put all this together, all of this data that we've been gathering, this mapping and data analysis that we'll jump into to really help us pull this together, this legacy plan. So that'll be the goal. An RFQ will go out to get that support. And but yeah, you all are familiar with who generally makes up this legacy plan task force. As I mentioned, encourage others to take the survey. And I'm gonna jump right in and do a quick little deep dive.
Could I make two more suggestions on the legacy plan? I would suggest that we file an extension with our CEO as soon as possible, so that way they know that we may not have an updated legacy plan for next year, but we would still be eligible to receive grants. That's pretty big. And then I know Mary questioned me on this a little bit, but I'm still getting it from my consultant because I've been working on a proposed master plan in Federal Way for about a year and a half, but we were rolling two smaller master plans into it, so took a little more time. But I believe state and RCO is taking 10-year capital improvement plans now rather than the 6, so that they more coincide with municipalities' comprehensive plans, so that you should expend all this energy to do comp plans, and then in a couple of years, you got to do your parks again. And the cycles just don't match. And the state has kind of been alerted to that. And I believe they are entertaining, and that's what we're working towards in Federal Way is to do that. Just you can get a little more mileage out of it, and you don't have 5 or 6 years. It takes a little burden off of staff and continues to kind of move it forward. So I think we should consider that.
Efficiency is good.
Absolutely. And these plans take hours, just a massive amount of work. And so if you can buy a few more years out of it, it's in everybody's best interest.
But they're useful.
Oh,
You go back and look at what we've done in the last 5 years.
well, I'll say they're very
Priceless.
useful, especially when municipal corporations such as Lakewood follow it and use it as the compass is. There are some municipalities that do nice, pretty plans and they put them on a shelf and they never look at them again. That's frustrating for that, but Lakewood truly used this as a compass to move forward, and it's been our guiding light for this department ever since I've been on the board, probably Vito too, right?
I think we.
Lots of highlighted.
Yeah.
A lot of work been put into crossing a lot of those items off the list, believe me. I've been,
Feels so good.
it's
You
a
know,
long road to there,
the
but
one thing that is in the plan is it does talk about partnerships.
Hmm.
And the partnerships, like I don't live next to a park. I mean, I'm about at least a mile and a quarter away. But there's a playground a school property a block away. And there's basketball courts and I take my grandkids there all the time. And they love it. And so identifying those are opportunities that, okay, we don't have a park there, but there's still recreation in that neighborhood. And it's in the plan. I mean, we identified the last time, is the partner.
Yeah.
And who else can we partner with?
That was used to help bridge some of those underserved areas.
Yeah.
When you looked at the map and it had kind of the bubble circles,
Right.
you know, over the city, where they overlap, where they had gaps in between, and what we used to identify, and then partner with those schools, Oak Park School District to actually help support putting in playgrounds, paths, you know, at the park, or safe access to the park or school, to be used, because you're right, the neighborhoods are using schools as parks.
Yeah.
Yes, it was identified, and again, we
Yeah.
accomplished.
So yeah, and Lakeland Reeds was an awesome example of that, and then you had some turnover at Silver Park is my recollection of it, I could be wrong, and then that kind of partnership faded, and the amount of work it took to get to do Lake Louise that was so good, it's just, you're like, it's starting ground again. That's struggle with.
Yeah, those two relationships,
Yeah.
are really can make or break that.
Yeah, a partnership.
But Pierce College, the partnership with the ball field renovations is a great example.
That's great.
So a quick glance at where we're at with the survey, just kind of wanted to share some of the key things that we're hearing so far. So as I mentioned, so far we're at 220 responses. Most of the folks that filled out the survey visit more than one or more times a week. One thing I'm just kind of keen on is that folks are mostly driving to their local parks. So we want to hear from people who are maybe using public transit or biking or walking. So that'll help just kind of tailor the engagement efforts that we'll be putting those physical flyers up in areas where there's just high biking, public transit and walking opportunities. And then this one here is the one that is very compelling to me and also drives some of this feedback. It's hard for me to see it just because I have my closed captions on, but I'm going to try to peek at it from here and zoom in a little more.
Updated one of this.
This is the updated version of that. Yeah. So,
Wow, what happened to that? Boat launch, huh?
so we have about 138 respondents from Fort Silicon Park and want to continue to hear from folks there, but we're not hearing from many, as I mentioned earlier, too many from Washington Park, from the wildlife area, from the community garden, Ward Lake Park. So really the key push these next few weeks will be hearing from people close to this. These areas are just gaps of information for us right now. And then the last one I wanted to focus on is kind of the prioritization and things that people believe we should be focusing on in the coming years. How would you rate dog parks? What are the top 3 things here? Okay, this is the one. City should improve in the park. So far this is changing. So people want to prioritize beach and water access, improvements to walking trails that are unpaved, and improvements to walking trails that are paved. So in the past, playground was really high up as a priority, and it was walking trails. So this is just kind of changing based on who we're hearing from. So public art was pretty high early on as well. So that's just kind of reshifting. But yeah, these are kind of some of the things that will shape some of the key improvements that we'll focus on based on what we're hearing from folks on the survey. And then trying to think if there's another exciting.
Once the Tillicum connection gets open, do you think that's gonna change walking?
Sorry?
The Tillicum, once Tillicum connection opens,
Yeah.
that walking thing will. Think this is gonna make that.
Well, it depends
I
on
mean,
safety.
People may want that just all over the city. I don't think it would change.
Right now, it's.
Yeah.
Like,
It'd be interesting to have more than one park with a trail so that you could go from one park to another. Park.
Yeah. Next.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
more
there's
of a European concept, but
during
it's
during the feedback session and my conversations with community, people were interested in this idea of how we're connecting across lakes, whether it's walking, some sort of trail system, or somehow just like some clear connection between all of the lakes so that people, if they wanted to get on a kayak from one end of the lake to another and then walk from a trail system, they were just
That's what they call it.
really
I know, but
excited
it's so
and-
tiny.
We've talked about it for a long time. I like watershed.
It's a little complicated to do something like that
Yeah.
because there's not a lot of connectivity between the private
Right.
lots that are there, but I think just thinking about how right of ways can connect us and what that experience can look like
But
for
I
somebody
think some of
that.
that is identified in the city's non-motorized transportation plan. And so it's kind of like partnerships between the park side and the public works side and those developments. But I think what is lost or doesn't have a home really is the wayfinding. And because
Mhm.
that's your key
Yeah.
to making those connections is the
Right.
wayfinding. And so that's a whole program in itself to undertake.
Yeah. Then did we,
Signage is so much
Oh,
more
sign- a-
complicated. than
absolutely.
Everybody
Oh, yes,
understands, but,
yes.
we have been engaging Public Works, with Edgewater Park, for
Yeah.
instance, so there's some connectivity from, along Edgewater Drive from, Phillipson Boulevard and then on through the community, so we have been talking to our city civil engineer about, making sure that we're in conversation with future, non-motorized improvements that Public Works may be making, at least for that project.
Yeah, so those were some of the
So
key.
there- I'm so sorry. We were talking a little bit about the survey and I had mentioned you had brought up with the public transportation and how people are getting to the parks. We were kind of talking about it. We're at the town center a lot. Like the bus station is right over there.
Yeah.
Maybe putting up a sign over there so people could see it and do it while they're waiting for the bus. Or Damien also had another suggestion.
I said, okay, so the buses have this little like poster thing
Yeah.
where you can slide posters inside of it. Like I've seen sneaker convention things to buy tickets and stuff.
Yeah.
If you guys could probably get like a little bit bigger poster and slide it in there, you're gonna get a bigger audience because there's a lot of people that take the bus to and from the town center.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's a good point.
Can I challenge the youth commission a
Yeah,
little bit? Can I challenge you guys a little bit? Each take a few flyers and post them at your school or ask the office to hang them up in your school, because I think that's a great way to get it. And if your peers are hearing it from you, they're gonna do it, and their voice carries weight, and the more youth we can get engaged in it, the better our results are gonna be, and the more some of those wants and needs might get fulfilled.
For sure.
Awesome, thank you.
Appreciate it. I mostly wrapped up my presentation, but appreciated the conversation. This was super good, super helpful. We have ways to go and some priorities to fill out. So thank you so much again.
Thank you, Debbie. All right. Let's go to the fourth thing.
Sure.
All right.
Something brief. So we'll have another meeting here before the event, but upcoming in December is the parade, December 6th. So come on out, fun. All that. Along with the conversation about the lake levels, I just wanted to give you an update. We will be with council's blessing November 17th. Reestablishing an ILA with Fish and Wildlife to make repairs at the boat launch, which will hopefully take place in December. That's when their crew has downtime.
which boat launch? There,
American Lake.
but which one? Red Lake Park?
yes.
Will Fish and Wildlife is gonna help with that?
So they need the lake level to be low to do the
Oh,
work. And what they're gonna be doing is all 3 lanes,
Okay.
basically pulling out some of the planks, reestablishing the base under those, putting the planks back in, filling the areas between where the planks are with the articulating mat, and then adding some of the articulating mat over the top of some of the fill at the end of the launch, so that there's not such a sharp transition. The lake bathymetry drops off pretty steep at, the end of the launch. And so what's been happening is power loading. So if anybody has a boat or knows somebody with a boat, please tell them not to power load. And that has been washing out over all the years. So that launch was put in 2007. And so we've gotten a lot of years out of it, but it's taken its, toll. And so yes, with the repairs that are going to be made, when the lake level is lower, there won't be such a sharp drop off. And
Right.
so folks with longer trailers do end up going off the planks. It'll be a smoother transition and they won't drop as far and hopefully not get stuck.
So that's November 17th.
That's when council will be looking at the mid-year biennium budget, as well as looking at the contract for ILA and local agreement. And then once we can get that signed by both parties, they can get it on their schedule. I've already been working with them to get that on their schedule, so that we're chomping at the bit to get it done for us and we're ready for it.
I think from watching the lake level, it's hitting bottom right now. It's gonna start
With a
coming.
little bit of rain, it's starting to come up just.
Yeah, it'll be a few
little
weeks
bit,
before it,
but yeah,
but yeah,
it'll still be in a good.
See it
location,
rise.
good
yeah,
level.
we can, we watch it rise. Okay, I'll let
We'll look
everybody
forward
know.
to that. A couple of CIP updates, so Wards Lake Park, we actually just did, Stacy and I and some other folks did a walkthrough for the pre-punch list, for that. It's getting really close. It's fantastic, and we talked about other parks besides Fort Silicon with a network of trails and whatnot in it. It's gonna
It's gonna
have,
blow your guys' mind.
Yeah,
It's
it's
incredible. It's exciting.
and
Can't wait
and
to
the
see it.
feeling of being in nature, work that's been done to create that is it's impressive. There's a dog park that'll be there. There's multiple playgrounds, the bridge, which I saw on the first slide there, that now goes over, so you can do a loop walk over the water. It'll be a really neat and unique feature in that corner of the city that just hasn't had, the park opportunity. So yeah, well, when we do get that opened up, love for you folks to come out and give us your opinion on how.
You gonna do a ribbon cutting?
Yeah, we're thinking of really a soft opening in winter, which is disappointing with the weather, but it would be great. I've got a lot of big ideas for activating public engagement with the park opening, because there's really no natural site. You can't even see into the park of any of the activity that's gone on or any of the improvements unless you're an immediate neighbor, which, is pretty limiting. So I have got some partnership ideas in the works with a local Evergreen Mountain Bike Alliance, who did the initial design, but they've done program support like with the city of Auburn. Actually just spoke with PD today, and I said, oh, I really would love to host a bike and helmet giveaway to engage kids that maybe didn't have an opportunity to come experience all the bike improvements at that park. And they were all on board with that as well. And we're open to hosting kind of a bike safety and arm signal, like obstacle course. I walked with the Tahoma Bird Alliance a couple months ago, and we did a really exciting wetland bird walk. So I know folks are like, I can't see the water, the cattails are really filling in, but the walk we did, and she played a little recording of a native wetland bird that lives in those cattails. Was very engaging, and there's eagles and owls and all kinds of birds that are drawn to that park that, are visible to anybody on a 5 to 10 minute walk, which is really inspiring. And then of course, the dog park, we've even talked about one of our staff members in public works engineering volunteers with a dog adoption agency. And I said, wouldn't it be great if we got a dog adoption event to really kick off the opening of a new dog park in that corner of the city? So I'm so excited to get folks engaged in that opening, because you really have to go see it for yourself. And then once you're there, you can over 40 acres. There is a lot to do, 10-foot wide paved trail connections in and around the lake and throughout each of these amenities. So I think there's a little bit of something for everyone, and I'm excited to get the community engaged in using all those updates. So We'll definitely keep you in the loop as we kind of plan. I don't think I clarified though, the park opening for many of those events, I think would be great to coordinate for our April Parks Appreciation Day.
Yeah.
Because I think folks are already a little bit engaged in that activity and, you know, maybe we'll have some good weather. You know,
It'll be
either
warmer.
way, it'll be a little warmer and we'll be outside of the holiday season.
Yeah.
So.
Are we allowed to walk in right now and take a look at the project and
It's all fenced off to your point. And the soft opening will probably be mid-November.
Okay.
I
Shall I go
should
back?
know the answer.
Can I stand up in my truck then?
If we wanted to organize a walk, I'm happy to, you know, if there's a day and time. I meet people regularly out at the park to just do a walk and let you guys in to kind of go see. So the other exciting improvement is our, the city's first Portland Loo, which is in the entry plaza on 84th, and we have some public art underway to wrap on that as well. So
You gotta do something funny with that. I mean.
it's got a bird, so it features, I think, 13 or 16 species of birds, because I took notes when we did the bird walk. And I was so excited about it that I shared it with the public artist, and so he's got all the bird species on the wrap of the public art. So it's really, it's very inspiring, and I'm excited to get that installed. So the artwork is about, it just went into production this week, and so that'll be installed as well in the next month or so.
And then at Water Park, I just want to mention that one, that we're starting that process of it's starting. We've been in the process of the design. We're getting further along in that, as well as identifying the funding to move the project forward. So the construction of that will probably kick off in 27.
Oh, okay.
So
Good to know.
looking forward to those improvements. It'll be kind of a linear park, just, you know, the area is not really wide area in the lake, so it'll be linear, but the improvements, and again, that's one of those areas that we identified as not necessarily underserved, but as one of the parks that we haven't made improvements to in many, many years. So to have this project kicking off and moving forward is for that neighborhood being a huge improvement. And then one of the things you'll see coming up real soon is that he's been working on the city's first reader board, and that'll be going in where the artwork was installed at Motor Avenue, coming off of Lake Drive. Just a turf area right behind where the artwork is, and the reader board will be installed there. Hopefully in the next couple of weeks is when they're going to start doing the install. And so that'll be something new and exciting for the city, and graphics. It's a gigantic screen, so the readability, you know, for folks that are driving by or at a stoplight or walking, will be able to get a lot of information out of folks.
Visual from both sides.
Yes, double.
So it'd be perpendicular to traffic or correct?
It's not exactly perpendicular.
The curve right there too.
Yeah, so we have worked to cite it so that it's viewable from both sides. That'll be coming up soon. And then something that is just wrapping up is all the parks now have had new name signs, you know, installed at them with the landscaping. I think all the landscaping is complete, right? So you'll see there's two different styles. There's a banner style, which is a single post, and then the double post all that landscape style sign. So
this was from way back when we went through the
Yeah,
design
yeah.
endeavor together with the blue signs with the white letters.
you know, it's come to life. So you'll see that written down. So that's just kind of a quick update on what we're engaged with and what's coming up.
Scott. All right, on to any reports from board members.
I'd invite everybody to check out the South Sound Wildlife Area. We got a tremendous grant this fall from an urban forestry grant, a federal one. We had Northwest Youth Corps out there for 12 weeks. These are college age students. We've done a tremendous amount of improvements out there. We've got 2 new signs, so we got funded through Rotary and Lakewood Community Grant there on site. And it's one of those spots that has both an ADA paved trail and unpaved trails for you. So there's a connection for you too, to connect that to the ongoing Chambers Creek Trail. It's just a couple of blocks. It provides parking for the city of Lakewood to get onto that trail because we have about 20 parking spots there now that are all open to the public.
But yeah, you'd have to walk,
You just
you'd have
have
to walk all the way around the park. You can't park at the other end, right?
No, you have to park at this end. So you'd walk through the prairie area, you take the little sidewalk connection, then you go down into Chambers
That's
Creek.
great.
And then all the way out to the bay
I know.
ultimately.
Can't wait.
Can you help us get some of these signs posted there for surveys? Because
Oh, yeah, I told him
survey
as
results
soon
there.
as he gets one, we'll put a big one up because I have a big bulletin board where
Yeah.
Does it need to be laminated or?
Nope, because it's undercover. It's in a good spot. So
Any other board member reports? Hearing none, all right, we'll meet next month, November 25th, that's right before Thanksgiving, so if you can't make it, please let Nikki know, so we make sure we have a quorum. With that being said, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second. Second.
All in favor?
good catch.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, I don't want.
How do you get in there?
It's a nest. It's a
Yeah,
nest.
right. Okay, Phillips right across from there.
I know.
That's what I
The nest is
thought,
right
but I wasn't
there.
positive, so.
There's a public parking spots